Have you ever set a goal, and if you're brutally honest with yourself, standing in your way wasn't the knowledge of how to do it, wasn't the time to do it, it was getting yourself to do it. That hidden piece is called self-discipline. You want to get in shape, it's the discipline to get yourself in the gym, not one time, but consistently to see results. You want to build your business and earn your freedom, it's the discipline to not just start the business, but push through when it's mucky. You want to get in a relationship, it's the discipline to do the inner work when things get hard. That, my friend, is what we're talking about today, self-discipline. And in this video, I want to share with you 5 mindset reframes that once you apply these, I think you'll get a lot more discipline, because that's the missing piece between what you want and having it. Now you might be thinking, okay, what's the difference between discipline and motivation? And I think this is a really, really important distinction before we keep going. Motivation is doing things when you want to. Discipline is doing things when you don't feel like doing them and doing it anyway. Someone who goes to the gym because they love it or when they love it is extremely motivated. Someone who goes to the gym because they made a commitment and they're tired but they go anyway is extremely disciplined. You can probably tell why discipline matters. Because who gets more results? The person who does things only when they feel like it, or the person who's able to, even on off days, push through and persevere for consistency? 10 out of 10 times it's this person. Tip number 1. This is more in line with if you procrastinate a lot. I'm willing to bet it's because you look at this mountain you want to climb and it is so big, you feel like you have to prepare. Do I have enough in the pack? I gotta research how much water I need, how much fuel I need. Maybe I should get in shape before I climb this mountain. Versus if that mountain was much smaller, you wouldn't feel this need to like over prepare. That's a metaphor I'm using for you and your goals. That when you have your goals like massive, okay, I'm going to lose 50 pounds, you feel like it has to be really extreme and you need all this discipline to muster up to do it. Versus if you chunk down the goal, not just 50 pounds, but it's losing 5, then 10, then 20, then 30 to get to 50, you need way less discipline to do that. So this tip would be, how can you take your goal that you think you need a lot of discipline for and break it down into some smaller ones? People say, I want my life purpose. Well, of course you feel like you need tons of discipline, and that's actually easier to procrastinate on because it's so big, you're like, I can just do it tomorrow. Within your life purpose, you have 5-year goals. Within that, there's a 1 year, there's a 1 month, there's a 1 day, and there's a now goal. Tip number 2. This tip really helped me during the low times. Just think of that word like discipline. We're so conditioned from an early age to have a negative connotation with it. It's probably when your parents are like, come here, I'm gonna discipline you. Get the belt out, right? Flickings. You ever get a flick? Those things hurt, man. Those things hurt. It's always seen as a punishment. The reframe here that will change everything for you. Discipline is nothing more than showing up for yourself. In the same way, if you had a friend say, hey, I'll be there at this time, that place, I'll see you then. You show up there and your friend is not there when they said they were going to be. Would you trust that friend? That would hurt your feelings. You'd be like, dude, what the hell, man? You just ghosted me? It breaks trust when that person doesn't show up when they say they would. The exact same thing happens to yourself. That when you say you want to do something and you keep letting yourself off the hook, you're breaking trust in yourself. I noticed the conversation around discipline online, it has a very intense energy around it. Discipline is killing the inner bitch. Force yourself to do something. I think what's a healthier view is that you actually don't have to do anything. You're choosing to do something. I don't have to go to the gym, but I'm going to because I love myself and I'm going to take care of my body. I don't have to work on my business, but I know it's important to me and I'm choosing to prioritize it. You don't have to force yourself. You get to do something. Start viewing discipline as the highest form of self-love. Tip number 3, maybe not the most scientific way to say it, but dopamine is your motivation center in your brain. When you anticipate something, you have a high dopamine buildup, and then when you get it, it decreases. Mission accomplished. Here's what's very interesting about it. Researchers say that what messes up your dopamine regulation are rewards without effort. We had a client who struggled with video game addiction. And, he knew he was supposed to work. He had an at-home job, but he would just blow it off and play video games because it was so tempting. Right there is the video game. So you can imagine this was affecting his performance. This was affecting his self-confidence. And what we did with him is say, hey, it's totally cool for you to play the games after you do something really hard. So this one tip is to earn it. Instead of this tension of like, oh, I should work, but man, this is really fun. I really want to do this. Not making this thing bad or wrong or like, no, this is terrible. You can never do this. That's where this tension dynamic comes in between the adult and child you have within. And like, you're always going to want to rebel against this. So the parameters he set is, look, I'm allowing myself to play games. Maybe one day a week I can play as many as I want after I do my work. After I go to the gym, after you insert the blank. The real dangerous thing isn't necessarily the like high dopamine activity itself. It's engaging in that without prior effort. Because there's a lot of like dopamine detox videos and, habit breaking, and it creates this like expectation that you should never do these things. I believe that's completely unrealistic, especially in our modern world. The goal is not to eliminate everything that has dopamine or is fun in your life. The goal is to just engage with it after you put effort in. Tip number 4. Here's a study that should unlock a lot of ahas for you. Researchers took a group of 3 people that wanted to exercise more consistently. They wanted to get their beach season bod. It was coming up in the UK. Group 1 was the control, and the only thing they were asked to do is track how much they exercised. Group 2 was called the motivation group. Now, same thing here. They were instructed to track how much they exercised. They were also given motivational materials on the benefits of exercising. They even had a speaker come in and hype them up, get them really motivated about exercising. Now, group 3 was the action group. They were instructed to track how much they exercised with one key difference. They were asked to formulate a plan of when and where for how long they were going to exercise. During next week, I'll run for at least 20 minutes Monday at 2 p.m. in the park. I will go to the gym next Tuesday at 4 p.m. after work. Could writing down when and where you're gonna do something really matter that much? What happened is groups 1 and 2 actually exercised around the same. 35% of them had at least one workout the following week, compared to 91% in group 3 had one or more workouts a week. Almost triple the amount of groups 1 and 2 by just writing down when and where they were going to do something. What is also called an implementation intention. Isn't this true in your life though? Like when you have a date and time of when you're gonna do something, you show up. If you buy a personal training session and you have a date and time for it, you're showing up. If you enroll in a class and prepay, you're showing up. Having a plan and a date and time for how you're gonna do things, I found that's an easy way to like hack your self-discipline. Tip number 5. This one is the biggest question you should ask, and it's staring right in front of our face. But like when I read books on discipline and the importance of it, no one asks this. If you consume content about this, no one asks this question. Why do you have resistance there in the first place? Haven't you had times where you were so excited to do something you didn't need discipline? I think a lot of people use, well, I need self-discipline as an excuse to tolerate more in their life. Like if you're really burnt out, I don't necessarily think that's always a self-discipline deficiency. It could be because you really do not like your job. Of course you're burnt out. It has no passion behind it. And in that case, like, yeah, you could do the self-discipline tasks and like force yourself to tolerate more and do more of what you don't want. Or in this way, like the lack of discipline can actually be a net positive because it's like your soul screaming at you, get a different job. Find something else. So it's actually a good thing sometimes because that's a message behind it. I know this from personal experience. A while ago when I was doing this YouTube channel, like years and years ago, there was a time where I pivoted into like business and more marketing content. I think it was on some bad coaching advice I had got. Stop talking about self-improvement. Only Tony Robbins can do it. You gotta teach YouTube and marketing. And I was like, okay, the coach said so. What happened is that I started creating a lot of content that my heart just wasn't in. I had to like force myself to like, okay, the wealth pyramid. All right, I gotta film this video. And then I would just like be so exhausted like this and just be like, oh my God. And then Wednesday would roll around. Okay, gotta do it again. And then Monday, Wednesday, Friday for like 9 months I did that. It felt soul sucking. And so if I were talking to that person, I actually wouldn't tell him to be more disciplined. I have no interest in helping that version of me just tolerate more and push through doing things that my soul's not aligned with. And so what I did is ask this question: why do I have so much resistance to this? And it was the topics I was talking about, that I wanted to be creating content like this. So don't use self-discipline to push through and make things worse. Try and dig down as best as you can to get to your root of why you think you need discipline in the first place. Sometimes you don't need as much discipline as you think. And if that sounds interesting to you, I'll link down below Metamorphic, where you can learn a little more about our process and even speak to someone to see if we can genuinely help you. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not already, and I'll link up right here a video on core stories and shadow work. Thanks so much for watching. Love ya. See you in the next one. Stop settling, start living. See ya.